All right, this is the Big Douglas Show. Rapper Big Pooh is in the co-host chair, and our guest today from Rigo's Rag, Damien Bartonek. Damien, how are you today?
Yo, how y'all doing? Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited to talk ball with y'all, man.
All right, very good. Well, if you watch this show, you know on Fridays it's the birthday game. We'll start out with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has a birthday this week. How old do you think Baker Mayfield is?
I saw this one. It's easy.
Okay.
I'll let you. Maybe I'll let you take it.
Yeah.
I think he's 23. Oh no, he's 24. He's 24. He's 24. Is he? I was like, oh, I was off both times.
Baker should be 26 today.
What? He's 26.
Baker Mayfield is 26 today.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Let's see. The great Al Green has a birthday this week. The great Al Green.
Oh boy. 81.
Pooh, you high on Al.
Really?
Jamie, you got a guess here on Al Green?
I'm gonna go. He said 81. I'm gonna be the bad guy. I'm gonna say 82.
75 for Al Green. Only 75 for Al Green.
I severely overshot Mr. Al Green.
Yes, you did. He didn't appreciate it either, I can assure you. Let's see. Brooklyn Decker, the actress Brooklyn Decker, has a birthday today.
She was in Battleship.
I have no idea who that is.
Let's go. Let's get tricky with women.
Yeah, don't do that.
Let's go.
Shoot low.
34.
34. Pooh gets another one. 34 on the nose.
Bang.
Let's see. And we'll wrap because he's one of our. And Chase Young has a birthday this week.
Oh,
Chase Young has a birthday.
I think he's 22.
That's right. He's 22.
He's 22.
22.
Oh, Chase Young is young.
Me and him are the same age. Yeah, me and him are the same age. That's how I know it.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
That's right.
I would have been all wrong.
So here's the list here. Before we go on, I thought we'd do this real quick. I will start reading names that the franchise has released as possibilities. Tell me when we get to a good one. Aces, ambassadors, anchors, the archers, the aviators, the sunglasses, the beacons, the griffins, guardians, monarch seems ridiculous, the pilots, the presidents. They've got red tails on here, red wolves I've seen. So let's get down to some that actually have a chance. Red wolves are on there. But we've never really talked about this. Where do you stand on the name change?
I think it should be an animal of some sort. Personally,
You like the animal.
yeah, I'm a fan of the animal, and if they go with something like the red wolves or something similar to that, I think it'll be easy to, they definitely can keep the colors, they definitely can keep a lot of the things that they already have that people recognize. They can put the R's back on the helmet, you know what I'm saying, and just have a different mascot and let that be what it is. I just have a feeling that they're gonna totally screw the pooch on this one, and it's gonna be like Washington Aces or something ridiculous. Like that sounds more, because it also needs to sound like a football team and not a basketball team or baseball team or soccer team or hockey team or something like that. So it's going to be interesting what they go with. I saw that list that you was reading off of, and I was like, how does some of these even make this list? Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, now I don't know. I mean, it's tough because a lot of these names sound very like they're great athletes and everything, but they sound very like Arena Football League, like Washington Aviators, like Washington Guardians. Like I'm not feeling Red Wolves. I'm not a fan of Red Tails. I understand like the history. That's cool. I like that, but I just kind of don't want anything to do with like red in front of it anymore. Just like do something else. You know what I mean? But I do like the R logo. The R logo is phenomenal. If they did somehow incorporate that, like the little like script R. Those jerseys, the white with the yellow are fantastic. But yeah, no, I'm not feeling any of them.
For the record, I'm Washington football team all the way. They can stay. They can go by the burgundy and gold. I think Doc Walker was on that first. And then this thing go by the burgundy and gold because they said they're going to keep those colors no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was cool if they chose something like Washington football team or, one of them soccer-esque, football club or whatever they had on that list. I was like, oh, cool. If y'all want to go with that, I'll be cool with that. Like keep a descriptor all the way out of it and just
the key is winning. Right. I mean,
absolutely.
You're rooting for a team that wins in the end.
Absolutely.
And also, I like the numbers on the helmet.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope they, no matter what, I hope they find a way to keep that. You can take the number off the shoulder if it's up on the helmet and then rock like that.
Very college-esque.
Yeah.
A little bit, but it's different, right? Because I think only the Chargers rocked the number on the helmet last year.
Yeah. I like if they add like the stripes down the middle. I thought that was pretty dope too. I've seen like little edits where they have the stripes on the helmet down the middle, and I thought that was a cool little touch. But yeah, no, take the numbers off the jerseys because that's just way too many numbers, man. You got numbers on both shoulders, numbers on the chest, on the back, on the helmet. It's like, God, dog, I know what you are, man. I know what number you are.
That's for all them penalties. Make it easy on the ref.
And also, the more they buy the signage at Ashburn that says Washington football team, those guys don't like spending money just to throw it away. So the more the signage comes in, makes me wonder. Damien, you got a piece coming out, right, about jumping up for quarterback. Let's start right there. Let's get into it. We're early into draft week. Let's do it.
Yeah. So for me, I understand like a lot of people are pretty scared about moving up just because, the RG3 trade was a massive failure. You know what I mean? And I think what people need to understand is not every quarterback is RG3. Not every quarterback has the same flaws as him. And, for all due respect to him, all of these are much better prospects than he was, and that he is. I think right now, Washington, if the Niners for some reason draft Mac Jones and you have Trey Lance or Justin Fields there, I think that they should definitely go up and try to select one of these guys. Just because they can put around the best team you can imagine. They can have Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin. They can draft Rashad Bateman. They can go grab Micah Parsons. They can get whoever they want. They can have the best supporting cast around these guys, and they're still not going to be a great team. And at the end of the day, it's all about winning. Like we were mentioning earlier, it doesn't matter what the name is. If they ain't winning, nothing's going to sound good. And I think right now with quarterbacks, I mean, that's what you need. I mean, at the end of the day, like all this discussion about, how good the team can be, it's all dependent on that position mainly. Like, and we saw this last year, you know what I mean? When Alex Smith was just playing like, okay, like that's all he was playing. The team looked good, it looked fine. And I think Washington needs to move up if, one of these guys are available because, man, without a quarterback, we're going to be stuck in the mud. It's going to be a routine 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 year. And until you get that guy, I mean, you're just kind of in constant mediocrity.
So let me ask you this question. What is the big separation? Obviously, there is a tier here between them first five and then like David Mills and Kyle Trask and was Kellen Mond and those guys. What is the big difference? Because as I look at it, obviously you have your Russell Westbrook who came in the third.
Yeah.
Pretty numbers. Kirk Cousins who came in the fourth. So you have quarterback Dak who came in, I think, the fourth.
Yeah.
So what is the big difference between that first group or the back end of that first group versus that second tier quarterbacks?
So for some people, they have like Lance and Fields there, like kind of on the back end of like the big four or big five, if you want to call it. Mac Jones kind of all there. And these guys have a strong command of the offense. They, throughout their progressions, you can see whenever they're actually on the field, whenever they're, they're going from one read to the next, they're much better. Their command of the offense is much better. And you see that on tape, just kind of how they go from read to read, receiver to receiver. A lot of the guys on the other, on the, like your second round picks, they're extremely one-dimensional to the point where, like, they're not going to offer you anything, even with hypothetical coaching. Oh, you can coach him up. A guy like Kyle Trask, who, like, I respect his work in the pocket. He does have mechanical issues, but he's also going to offer you nothing as an athlete when it comes to off-script plays and stuff like that. He's a statue in the pocket, and as you see in the NFL, That's kind of not a thing anymore. I mean, obviously you have your Matt Ryan, your Kirk Cousins, but the league is trending more towards your Dax, your Kyler Murray's, your Russell Wilsons, even Millie Mahomes, my guy. That guy can still do stuff, off script with his legs. So I think the biggest thing is, for one, these guys in this group are much more polished as throwers and understanding of defense and stuff like that. But they're also just better, like, athletically. You know what I mean? Like, they're just better overall. They know how to use their gifts better, and they're just overall better talents at all three levels of the passing game. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is the skill level. Not only that, but the kind of understanding of the actual game that they're playing is a big difference as well.
It's crazy, Pooh. I was thinking about this the other day when we had, Theismann was on when like back by Thanksgiving, and he was on the kid from BYU, right? I mean, I remember him telling us he
that was his number one
back in the whole thing. That's right. Yeah. And I remember the moment I was thinking to myself, what are you talking about, Joe? But there really was like this. There has been ever since. There are more and more people saying that. It's wild what happens here during the draft cycle, because it was Fields and Lance since they were juniors in high school that were supposed to be duking it out for 1 and 2. I've been asking around. I'm curious what would have happened if Fields had stayed at Georgia and had that same kind of production, because it really feels like this Fields thing is a helmet problem and not a tape problem.
Yeah.
Particularly since I hear more and more that the OSU receivers, that offense kind of was predicated on choice routes, and I'm sure people will kill me on this, but that's why it looked like it took so long for those routes to develop, right? Because they were deciding which way to go, and then he was making a decision on it. I'm high on Fields. To me, the conversation starts at 7. Like that. If we were doing this exercise as to what makes you comfortable, 7 to me for a trade up, 4 seemed awful high, because you're talking about tons of first round picks. 7, maybe not so much.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Trading into the top 4 rather than the top, 7 or 8, it's 2 different ball games. It's a matter of an extra day 1 and day 2 pick. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I definitely agree with you.
And Pooh, you're not into any of it, right?
No, I think at 19 they're too far back. Like I think a lot has to happen in front of them, and then it's going to cost them, a little bit more than, say, it'll cost a New England who's at 15. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're going to have to wait to see who slides to 7, 8, 9, 10, around that range. Then you still have no idea what Carolina is going to do, because they're holding their cards close, even though they traded for Sam Darnold. I mean, what did they really trade? Like, a Cajun filet biscuit from Bojangles. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they pretty much traded for him. So I think, for me, I think the draft, whatever quarterbacks are left, it happens after Carolina. It may be even Denver, because I don't know how sold Denver is on Drew Lock. So
they're not.
So you have quarterback needy teams. We still have no idea what Atlanta's going to do. Yeah. They could potentially take a quarterback of the future, even though Matt Ryan. So Trey Lance would be perfect for Atlanta, because Matt Ryan is pretty much on the team for another season or 2. And he's the rawest out of the 5, top tier quarterback. So I think it's just one of them things where I think Washington just making the playoffs kind of, stunted that quarterback picking growth that they have. And if I was in the front office, which obviously I'm not even qualified to be, but if I was in the front office, I would stick at 19. Unless one of them quarterbacks just miraculously fell out of, past 10, I would stick at 19. I would take a shot at one of them developmental quarterbacks. That's what we'll call them, in the 2nd or 3rd round, since they have multiple picks in the 3rd. And if that's not it, then we just take another go at it next season. Because I think you're going to end up having to give up too much draft capital, because it's teams in front of them that also are considering quarterbacks within that top 10, and then once you get out of that top 10 before you get to 19. And I think it's going to cost them way too much. Not that the cost isn't, having to pay something is one thing, but having to pay more than what you should be is a whole nother thing, because now you're in the bidding war for trade spots.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this too, real quick, Damien.
Yeah.
I think you've got to get up to 7 or 8, right? Because I don't see because next is Dallas at 10, right? Then Philly at 11, or Giants at 12, or the other way around. And there's 3, and I don't see either one of those 3 in the division allowing you to trade up with them to get your future quarterback, unless they just think that you're screwing yourself by doing so. I was thinking about that the other day. So I think we got to actually get up to 8.
Yeah. I was gonna say too, like I like, and I understand what Pooh was saying for sure, because hey, it needs to be a calculated move now. Like it's definitely not like, hey, let's trade 4 first-round picks. Like, you know what I mean? The thing for me is I'm not a big fan of the 2022 class. I think a lot of people will kind of agree that, hey, the best way to win in this league so far that we've seen is getting your young quarterbacks on the rookie deal, kind of building as much talent around them as you can, and then going for it. And a guy like Lance or a Fields, man, I just love them as prospects. Kind of with my man Doug, like I like Fields. I'm a big Lance guy just because, you know, I've read the stuff and I've seen the stuff where, you know, he was given nothing when it comes to Power 5 offers to play quarterback. This dude literally just became a football junkie, as his coach said. He took the NDSU job because, hey, he was going to make him as pro ready as he possibly can. You know, the stuff that they asked him, you know, from the position, you know, and his actual play on the field, I think I'm just a big believer in that guy. So that's why, like, for me, you could say like I'm a little biased because I like him a lot. But in that same aspect, if they're your guy at, you know, 7 or 10 or 15, I think they're your guy at number 4. That's just kind of my personal opinion. And so that's why I would say, hey, let's not worry about getting him at 7 or 8. Let's just do the dang thing. Let's go get him already. Let's get our guy. Now we have kind of a guy who can sit, like Pooh said too. You know, he might be the most raw passer and out of all, you know, the big 4 or 5. But you have a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick who makes pennies on the dollar, and you have that guy Trey Lance, you know, who can kind of develop under him, and it'd be kind of like the perfect segue to Lance should his time or when his time comes.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, Pooh.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I think just looking at the draft list, I think the draft really starts after Carolina. That's when we're gonna know what's going on. Like how far will Lance fall, or how far will Trey fall, and then, as Damien was saying, then that's when you make the calculated move to say, okay, I know I'm going to probably have to jump in front of New England. You know, Dallas is fine. New York is fine. The Eagles, who knows what they're going to do? Because the thing here is, with all this jockeying for QB, this is why I don't think a Dallas or New York will be opposed to trading, is because with all this jockeying for QBs, they can get extra assets by moving back and still get their guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get your guy because everybody else is being suppressed backwards. Yeah. Everybody except for Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase is getting pushed back in Penei Sewell. So everybody else is getting pushed back into the draft because of these quarterbacks. So I don't think in this instance, I don't think they would be opposed to, you know, doing a trade for an extra asset or two, because even if your quarterback doesn't work out, I still got something out of you. Yeah. If your quarterback does work out, I got something out of you for that. And I still got my guy. So I don't think that's going to dissuade them from trading. But I just think you have to wait until Carolina goes off the clock or on the clock to figure out what it's going to really take or cost you to get up into that top 10, you know, that 9, 10, 11, 12 range to possibly grab whoever's left out of the quarterbacks. And I just want to say, if San Francisco takes Mac Jones, boy, oh boy.
Yeah. No, we're getting busy. Washington's getting busy. If they take Mac Jones at 3, I mean, you heard it here first. I'm telling you, Washington's moving up in that first round. If Mac Jones was gone at 3 and they got Lance and Fields there, Washington's going to take a shot. I can feel it. I know they will. They'll take a shot to get one of them. You have no choice. I mean, they're just giving them to you at that point. You know what I mean?
You're right. Absolutely. Like, they say, here you go. Take one of these guys.
You talked about the draft starting at 7. Well, Atlanta, with Matt Ryan's cap hit, I don't believe they're drafting a quarterback for at least two seasons, because his cap hit's out of this world. I talk about that in my article. You know, Cincinnati's not going there. I don't think the Dolphins are going with one either. So, like you said, 7's Carolina, and at that point, it's kind of like you can go 7, you can go 8, or no, is it Detroit at 7 or Carolina?
Yeah, Detroit at 7, Carolina at 8.
So you can go to, because I don't think Detroit's getting one either. I mean, you just got Goff for $100 million, it seems like, you know, with that contract as well. So I mean, the first round, it could definitely be very interesting, especially if Mac Jones is gone at 3. I mean, and like you said, Denver doesn't like Drew Lock. I mean, hey, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of scrambling from a lot of teams in this first round. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait.
Now, the crazy thing will be is if Atlanta turns down offers for 4 because Pitts is there.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you now, the league is in love with Pitts to a level where Atlanta may feel like they can't move off of there. Because to your point, they've got Matt Ryan for a couple years. And really, that's the counter argument to moving up is what I've been dubbing the Tampa Bay model, right? Like everybody is in love with the GM from Tampa Bay right now. Well, they weren't a couple years ago, but he stocked that roster. He waited. I mean, I understand they had a first round quarterback, but that was 6 years before that, you know? So if you had offensive line, I'd be all right with wide receiver at 19. I'd be all right jumping up to 15 or 13, somewhere in that range. If one of those guys, linebacker, offensive tackle, wide receivers, that's kind of more the trade up, trade down I could see is moving up 4 or 5, getting a guy that you really like, keep adding. And the interesting thing about quarterback is we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and I said the same thing. Like, oh, next year's class. Well, he started getting all excited about next year's class, right? Because the guy from BYU was not on everybody's list.
Okay.
Mac Jones was not a first-round quarterback just last year. So
that's
by the time we're done, or by the time we're doing this again next year,
we could be different.
There'll be a whole new bunch of quarterbacks that everybody is in love with. And the reason why all this happens, and we're talking so much more draft and everybody's so good, is because they're getting privately coached since they were 8 years old.
Yep.
And I literally, as a UGA fan, we've been knowing about Justin Fields for a decade, it feels like. So that's the other interesting thing is just how much better the players are entering the league and how much bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, the amount of guys, and I understand everybody's, laughing at the clocks this year, but even if they're a little off, there's a whole lot of 4.3s and low 4.4s this year.
Oh, yeah.
That really probably aren't that far off. It's just, that's what's happening now. Everybody's just so fast.
Yeah, I would definitely be in favor of Washington getting I'm turning into a Christian Darrisaw fan.
Yep, from Tech.
From Tech. So I would be in favor of them getting another, tackle, quality tackle. That way you can have Charles either, you can get him in and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like figure out where Charles is going, where, and all of that, and, stack your line. You can, they definitely need another linebacker. You can, go there. I don't know about wide receiver in the first round for them. After they made their moves in free agency. So, I mean, it's things that they need. They can go safety, with Morenwig, the kid from TCU. They need a true free safety. So it's things they can do. And I know quarterback is the most important position in the game today. I just mortgaging too much of your future to possibly be wrong. That's a tough pill to swallow because that can set you back. And I think the problem, like teams in front of them, like Atlanta, for instance, may have is being definitive about what your future is. Even if we know Matt Ryan is there for another 2 seasons at least. You go get a Kyle Pitts. Does that really put you in contention? No. So why not play for now and play for later by moving out of that pick and gaining more assets, and you can still get a premium, player, because with or without Kyle Pitts, Atlanta, you're not contending for the Super Bowl. Like everything will have to fall your way for you to contend for the Super Bowl. So it's like Damien said, it's gonna be real interesting. It's gonna be, fun, seeing how this shakes out. I don't know the last time you had 5 quarterbacks that was this highly regarded, even though they're trying to kill, Fields out here. But I don't know the last time you had 5 quarterbacks this highly regarded that could all possibly go in the top 10.
It's wild. It's never happened. Never happened that quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3. It's possible to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the time it's all said and done, they could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because to your point, teams want that quarterback and they want them bad. I mean, look at Denver. They really are ready to move off Drew Lock. They drafted him 2 years ago. Darnold just got traded. He got drafted 3 years ago. With the new scale, you do not have to stay on these guys at all.
The scale and what I think Arizona showed or gave teams confidence that if you're certain that this is your guy, you can move off a guy you just drafted the previous year.
Yeah, well, better have it. Speaking of that, he better have a good year this year too. By the way.
Oh yeah.
Out in Arizona.
You don't think you think he will, or you don't think, or you're not a believer in it?
Well, I'm just saying they moved off for Rosen, which is fine. That proved to be the right move, but he hadn't done it yet either. This is year 3 for him, and he better have a big one.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too. I literally have this right next to me. I'm a big sports card investor and stuff. I literally got a Kyler Murray rookie card right here graded for him. I'm telling you, when I tell you I'm a believer in Kyler Murray, I'm a Kyler Murray guy. I love his talent. But I agree. I mean, last year I was a bit surprised that they didn't make the playoffs. I was a little shocked, but with another playoff spot, I think they will. I think they'll make the playoffs this year.
I think he just got worn down as the year went on. He was being asked to do way too much. I think swapping out, and there's no disrespect to the legend Larry Fitzgerald, but I think swapping out Fitzgerald for another veteran in AJ Green is going to prove beneficial. I think the additions they got on the defense are going to help them, because that was also part of their problem. They could score, but they couldn't stop those teams, and so you had to keep going back to Kyler to. They didn't have a running game, a consistent running game. So I'm hoping, because I'm a fan of his, I'm hoping, it turns out better for him this year, unless they play the football team. I don't know the schedule. They can lose that game.
They put out the, I forget which sports book it was now, but the win totals for this year, 8 for Washington football team. What do you think about 8? I mean, it was Vikings got 8.5 win totals. I was trying to think about who the teams were just under. Washington was the only team that sat there at 8. 8 seems about right, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll take the over, but
that's tough. Only because that first place schedule is going to be brutal. It's going to be really tough. So that's why 8 wins, I can see it. Man. The over is a little. 9 wins. I could see 2. I mean, if they get a quarterback, hypothetically, right? In my perfect world, if they get a quarterback and Fitzpatrick plays decent, right? He just plays like an average starter, they can win 9-10 games. I think they could. I think they could get it done.
Yeah, of course. That's the only problem. Real quick, but that's the only problem with your scenario, right? Is if you're trying to win 9 games next year, and that happens with Fitzpatrick, then spending a 3 first-round picks on a quarterback literally didn't actually help your win total for this year at all, right? That's kind of why I like the Fitzpatrick thing.
Yeah, and he's like I mentioned in the article, he's the perfect bridge for whatever you bring in. Now we're kind of in a good spot because hey, if we lose a lot of games, who cares? You're gonna be picking early. You need a quarterback. I know it stinks. Hypothetically, losing stinks, right? But we'll be in a good spot to get another quarterback. But if you do well, then hey, Fitzpatrick's working out better than you expected. Obviously, I'm not a believer in losing benefiting development. I think us winning, or going to the playoffs was huge for these young players. So that's why I feel like the Washington football team is kind of in almost a win-win scenario, hypothetically. You know what I mean?
I'm just, while everybody wants their quarterback of the future on a, the smallest price tag available. I just look at it from, this year we have a bridge quarterback in Fitzpatrick. Next year, you're going to have, a Jameis Winston. If he proves to have figured out his problems in New Orleans, he's going to be a free agent again. You're going to have these veterans and not old veterans, right? You're going to have these under 30 veterans that's going to be available because as these new quarterbacks come in, they push the quarterbacks that's already here out, and them quarterbacks may not be bad. Looking at Teddy Bridgewater. I don't even think Teddy Bridgewater is 30 yet. Is he 30?
Yeah, he's young.
You know what I'm saying? And while he may not
38 is young still, you know what I mean?
Your point, right. Now, in football terms, he's still young. So I think it's one of them things where I don't think they have to overreach. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if Trey or Fields fall, past 10 or 210 or something, yeah, try to make it happen. But I don't think which they've shown they're not going to overpay, overcompensate. I don't think they have to overreach for a quarterback. But if one falls to a point where you feel comfortable going, so okay, maybe I got to give up next year's first and next year's fourth or something like that. Yeah, do it. Go ahead and do it. Your plan is to not be in the top half of that draft anyway.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do it. But if they have to give up like Damien was saying, 4 firsts and a player and it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. So
unless you can promise me he's Mahomes, unless you could promise me he's gonna be Patrick Mahomes, then we're not doing that.
I'm not doing it. So
well, but that's the also thing that will interest me about 4, because technically Atlanta's hoping they're not in this position ever again.
Yep.
To be selecting quarterback this high. The only other problem that I have with all this, and I know it's sort of like a chicken and egg type thing, is if you're trading up to 7, you have essentially traded away all those picks to go get the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in this class, unless you just happen to think, Fields is the 4th one taken and he was the 2nd on your board.
Yeah.
But it makes me a little nervous trading up for, the 4th best of any position.
Yeah, I think that's all just kind of subjective to like your board, like you were mentioning, because like hypothetically looking back, Lamar Jackson was the 5th quarterback taken, but he's dang sure not the 5th best. You know what I mean? And like right. Josh Allen was the 3rd one, and he's definitely not the 3rd best. And so I think it's kind of subjective, but I understand what you mean. I think too, like with the Trevor Lawrence, he's like the consensus number 1. I don't think anyone's going to argue that, or not many people. I know there are people who will argue it, but not many.
Joe Theismann to argue.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him for that. He's a legend. But then you got Wilson, and then it's kind of like I got it. Whether it's Fields or Lance, they're kind of all in that mix. But I mean, it's really, like I said, it's just subjective to kind of your board. And like, while it might be the 4th best quarterback or the 4th taken quarterback, if 2022 is not looking bright, like I don't think it is. Well, man, the 4th, if you combine both classes, it's kind of like the 4th best quarterback out of the last 8 or 9. I mean, you could be out forced, you know what I mean? So, but I think Washington will be fine whether they select Lance or Fields, or if they chose to like kind of wait on it, they could. I trust the organization enough that they have a plan and they know what they're doing. So I'm not mad at it.
I'd be stunned if they end up going up to 4.
I know they're not going to 4. They can do that today if they're going to 4. Like, and even to your point, Doug, I was just sitting here thinking about it. One, I think Mac Jones is just throwing everybody for a loop at 3. If he does go 3, I don't think anybody predicted that. And then even with this Zach Wilson kid, I'm just hearing, while people is in love with him, all the reading I've done so far is saying he needs more development. That's why they were surprised that they jettisoned Sam Darnold as fast as they did, because they feel he has the potential, but he's not there yet. I think that probably would have been the case for anybody that went to the Jets. They don't have a good track record of developing quarterbacks. But so, yeah, it just goes, for some people, some teams, Fields could be the 2nd best quarterback, and they're just letting all this talk happen. And, like, yeah, good. Yeah, let him slide back to me. Awesome. I'll take him. Yeah. Or, even for Lance, it could be, we think he has the potential to be the best or, the 2nd best quarterback in this draft. He just needs more development than the other quarterbacks need because of, the division, the subdivision he was in, and then only playing 1 game last season. So to Damien's point, I just think it's about how you view these quarterbacks. So, who may go 5th may be somebody's 2nd best quarterback in the draft. You just never know.
I'll say this about Lance. I prefer quarterbacks that have played baseball. I don't know what it is, if it's the arm angle or just
the Mahomes effect.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of good ones that played. Dak, I think, was a baseball player too.
Yep. Yeah, no.
I can tell you one thing. It has been refreshing to have gone from Allen to Rivera, because we really don't have a very good sense of what they're going to do. I mean, everybody knew Chase Young was the pick last year. This year will be much more interesting for sure.
Yeah, we've gotten mixed signals from Ron. We got the, oh no, we can build everything and then get a quarterback talk, and then we got the if somebody we like there, we'll go up for him. Like, what are you? We don't know what you're doing, Ron. We'll just wait. Hey, he's not called Riverboat Ron. You know, he's called Riverboat Ron for a reason. So
yeah, facts.
you know,
facts.
But I definitely agree with you. In Washington's case, you know, obviously winning in division last year, and then I think the misstep with Dwayne Haskins kind of set them back in the quarterback market. You know, not the team. They're developing as a team, but I think that because when you're wrong, and I think that's the fear with giving up all them assets, even though they didn't give up any for Dwayne, but if you're wrong, that really cost you. It cost you double. It cost you the assets you gave up, and then you don't have the person you thought you were going to have, the player you thought you were going to have. And I think they saw that with the Haskins thing, even though Ron's regime didn't draft him, just how, okay, if they would have took that 15th pick that year and got another player that could have helped us somewhere else, as opposed to reaching for this quarterback who wasn't ready, then, you know, we could be in an even better position this year. And you have, that has to be playing in their mind more than anything. Not necessarily. I don't look at the RG3 thing the same, because it was way more to that. He was electric his first year, and then the injury, and then the beef with the Shanahans and Dan, and you know how all that played out. So I look at that differently. But the Haskins thing shows that can set you back if you choose wrong. Like that can set you back. And it's just, you know, fortunate that Washington cut bait with somebody they felt wasn't going to be their guy. They didn't waste time with it. They just, okay.
And he took a lot of heat. He took a lot of heat for that too.
He did, but
a lot of heat.
It's just like, this is not working for me. And so we know he's not the guy. We got to get him out of here. And they got him out of there. And, you know, so I like everybody's saying, I'll be okay if you know, if they stay at 19 and, you know, grab another player, another foundational player, I'm good with that. If they decide to go up and grab their guy, I'm good with that. I just hope it's their guy. I hope he's the guy. you know, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, seeing how it plays out. I think this was the intent of the NFL by having, you know, just round one on a day by itself. Is you know, it's like theater. And when is the next time you're going to get this many quarterbacks this highly regarded, you know, in the first, you know, to go have teams jockeying for positioning? And we just spent 35 minutes just talking about quarterback, man. Like, quarterbacks that haven't even played a down in the NFL. Sure. Like when are you going to have that again? You never know. So it's going to be interesting. Oh yeah, that silence, boy, that pause. It's deafening. Damon, I'm interested. You know, obviously we know quarterback of the future is a thing, you know, Washington needs, but what, in your opinion, what else do you think they need, like, that they can get in this draft late, you know, past the first round, second, third, you know, fifth, some other positions that they should target to continue building upon what they did last year?
So for sure, linebacker. I think that entire room kind of needs to be revamped a little bit. They need some new blood, so to speak. They need some new linebackers. I mean, at all three positions. I think a guy like Jabril Cox in round 2 would be fantastic. He's a will linebacker. He's fantastic in coverage. At the Senior Bowl, he was great. I believe Pro Football Focus graded him out to be the best graded coverage linebacker in one-on-ones. Washington needs a will linebacker, especially after KPL left. So I think that'd be a great pick. Definitely tackle. I think Washington needs a left tackle. I like Lucas. I like what he did, and I like how he did, you know, in his
he was sneaky good last year.
Yeah, he was good. He was solid. So that's why, like, if they didn't go tackle round 1, it's fine because they have a serviceable option there. But I'd still like them to go for shout out to my guy, the Podfather. He loves Jackson Carman, and I'm with him on that. We could go there. Samuel Cosme's another one that I really, really like. Some people think he might go in the first. But if he did slip in the second round, I'd be cool with that as well. And then, of course, safety and tight end. I mean, tight end, Washington is talking about getting a vertical threat. I honestly don't believe outside of like a Brevin Jordan, but there is like a true vertical threat at tight end. I think a lot of these guys like a Hunter Long or a Penn State Pat, they're more of like the intermediate passing game kind of tight ends that kind of get you in the horizontal passing game rather than the vertical. But they'd still be good options. I think Logan Thomas has proved that he can be really good at the short to intermediate passing game level. So I think tight end, a vertical tight end would be great. And then of course safety. They need a free safety very, very badly. Landon Collins, I don't know how they're going to fix that with Collins and Curl. Curl's too good to not be on the field. Collins gets paid too much to not be on the field. It's going to be tough, man, but they need a free safety, which I believe, Doug, don't you like Reeves a lot, don't you? Or you were a fan of Reeves? Yeah.
I'm huge on Reeves, but I don't think we need safeties at all.
Oh, okay. So not a free safety.
No,
Okay.
I like Reeves.
Okay.
I think the defense has moved to safeties that there is no free safety, right?
Okay.
I think they want them interchangeable. Look at what DeShazer Everett did. And like an actual free safety role on the team last year. That's because they switched. And the thing
I'm not mad at that.
And the thing with Collins is, don't forget, we spent an outrageous amount of time with three safeties on the field last time. That's why we know about Curl, because he was still on the field when Collins was on. So we played a lot of two linebackers. It's why I'm not really all that worried about linebacker. I don't think there's going to be a ton of them on the field. Lots of two linebacker looks.
Yeah.
Pooh, who's your tight end? You got a tight end from your squad you love, right?
Tommy Tremble.
I
think Tommy Tremble. I'm a Notre Dame fan, self-professed Notre Dame fan. And I watched obviously Notre Dame play, and their number one tight end is the Mayer kid. They call him Baby Gronk. He was a freshman last year, but I was intrigued by Tommy Tremble because, he's a willing blocker. Whether he was proficient at it or not, I can't tell you. I don't scout. I don't judge the position, but I know he was a willing blocker, and I think he has a lot of untapped potential as a receiver. But listening to Damien, I think he may fall more along in the lines of a intermediate route tight end and not a stretch the field tight end like a Brevin, was it Jordan from Miami?
Yeah, from Miami.
Or obviously a Kyle Pitts. So so I don't know, if they would draft somebody like a Tommy Tremble, it'll be more of a grooming him to take over the role that Logan Thomas plays as opposed to stretching the field. So but I'm big on Tommy Tremble. But like I said, just because of his willingness to be an inline blocker.
Yeah.
Well, you have a Kyle Pitts who's he's basically a receiver in the tight end's body. Like, I don't know how much inline blocking Kyle Pitts is going to be doing, whatever team he goes to. He doesn't need to, So I'm big on that. And I like Reeves as well at safety. But I think they need a big time safety because I have a feeling with the addition of Jackson, where last year they ran a lot of zone in that back end. Jackson allows you to run a lot of man now. And when you start running man, you need that guy over the top that can swing from side to side to cover up some mistakes. And while I love Curl, I love Landon Collins, I like Reeves, none of them are swinging side to side to cover up any mistakes. They have to be. That's what they thought Troy Apke was going to be, but he just didn't have, the IQ, the football IQ, to get it done. So I believe they're looking for that. They want that. They cut Sean Davis, who they signed last offseason because Apke had the speed to do that, and he couldn't for whatever reason. So I believe they want that. Because if you have Landon Collins needs to be playing close to the box. He might not be called a linebacker, but you're going to be a linebacker.
Yeah, that's what they're going to use him. Yep.
So Curl's going to be on the field, and he's now your strong safety who can slide to the slot, cover a tight end, whatever. And then they need that guy on the back half who can literally cover up mistakes. And while I like Reeves, I don't think he's that guy. I like DeShazer Everett, but he's not that guy. And I think they need that guy. They don't necessarily have to get him this year, but they need that guy. For their offense to truly unlock, they're going to need somebody who can cover up mistakes so they can run them one-on-ones, send extra pressure. Sometimes when the front four ain't, might not be getting through, or they got to sub out Chase or something, and they're going to need that free safety to cover up their back end. So that's why I'm definitely thinking they're going to pluck some type of safety with a lot of range in this draft. And obviously linebacker, we all in agreement there. They definitely need a linebacker, more of a cover linebacker. Obviously need to be able to thump in the run, but more of a cover linebacker than anything, because the front four eats up a lot. A lot of the blocking. I was high on the Jeremiah JOK. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I was the kid from Notre Dame, but it's like, this is where the draft thing can get you out. The more I read about him, phenomenal kid, 6'1", former safety, can cover, but his tackling is an issue, and he's small. He can get lost in the sauce, and I'm like, man, I know he'll cover, but for somebody who might burn you in the run game, at this level, that can be, that can be a huge misstep. So, I said it's going to be interesting, but I agree with Damien. I definitely think they need another tackle. Everybody knows they need a linebacker, and then where we differ, Doug, I do think they're going to pluck a free safety somewhere. And they're probably going to get another wide receiver in this draft too, just to bring some competition in. Adam Humphrey's not there for long. Steven Sims, I think he's gone. The only receivers that's safe out of the old regime, obviously Terry McLaurin, but I think they're going to give Cam Sims another look to see if he develops further. They're going to give Antonio Gandy Golden another year to prove, he can play.
Yep.
I think everybody else is gone. Hey,
Kelvin Harmon will be Harmon will be back too.
Yeah, I forgot that they'll give Kelvin Harmon a look because he was actually, until he ruptured his ACL or tore his ACL.
Yeah, they liked him.
He'll do the dirty work for you.
Yeah.
So but Sims, Steven Sims, whatever them other wide receivers they have over there, they're out of here.
They're out. Yeah. Let's do, Daniel, while we got you here, let's do one last one that I know is all over Washington football team Twitter. So they've got 4 first-round draft picks. All of them can't get paid. Who stays and who goes?
All right. So we're paying Chase, and we're paying. We're talking about Chase, Montez, Allen, and Payne, right?
That's right. Yeah.
We're paying Chase. We're paying him.
Well, fortunately, we don't have to worry about Chase for 5 years. I mean, I guess the big one is the tackles, right? That's really where the rubber meets the road, as they say. Jonathan Allen is this summer. Deron Payne's coming up. Matt Ioannidis under contract, and Tim Settle. So all of them can't stay.
Yeah, I would go. I'm definitely paying Allen, and I'm paying Payne. If I had to move off of, Settle, and I know Ioannidis doesn't really make a lot of money, like average annual value, but I understand because, he does make, I believe it's 11 or 10 million per season. But I'm definitely going with Payne and Allen over Matt, just because I feel like they are better players. I kind of thought at first Matt was at times, the best interior lineman that they had. But I think after this year, no, I think it's Payne and Allen for sure. I would definitely pay them without question.
Leonard Williams just got north of 20?
Yeah, 20
We're
million.
just shy of 20.
Yeah.
So let's assume that Allen starts there.
Ooh, you think
maybe? Yeah. Oh, you think he saw Leonard Williams just?
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna get 21, man. I don't think he's gonna get 21 or 20, man. I could be wrong. I could, but I don't think an Allen or a Payne will command that salary. I really don't. Now, if they did,
because Washington has edge rushers.
Yeah.
So I think the way it's going to work, Giants don't have edge rushers that's taking the pressure off of Leonard Williams. He is the defensive line for the Giants. Where in Washington, they do have 2 pass rushers who, they all work together, obviously, but that kind of devalues your D tackles at that point. So they're not going to get, I don't think they're going to get Leonard Williams money. They're not going to be cheap, but they're not going to get Leonard Williams money. And I think if the football team had to decide, first it's going to depend on how much Allen's extension ends up being. If that
let's say 18 a year.
Payne is out of here.
Yeah, Payne would have to go, but
Payne going to be gone. I think they'll keep Ioannidis, Tim Settle, and Payne to be gone.
Yeah, because Ioannidis really doesn't make a ton of money. Like if I'm trying to, I don't know what his AAV is. I'll look it up real quick, but I'm almost certain.
It's low.
Yeah, I know it's
10,
not much.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and he's an extremely good player. Like Matt Ioannidis is a very, very, very good player. So I mean, it would, unfortunately, that's kind of how it would go. But man, Payne is just, that's, I mean, like you mentioned, he's a great player. And I'm not saying it just because like I interviewed him. Like I'm telling you, he's a really, really, really good player. So that's why it's really tough to kind of see him go, but that's kind of how it would have to be. I think they would go with Allen, and then they have Matt to fall back on. And Tim Settle makes nothing. I mean, he was what, a 5th round pick, right?
Yeah, I bet you they have to give him Ioannidis money in a year when his contract comes up. The other guy is Smith Williams, who we know from down here in Carolina.
Oh yeah,
they are high on him. He was hurt at NC State, or else he'd have gone higher. He's one of those spark guys, freak athlete. They moved him inside and outside last year. I'm excited to see what he'll do.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they're going to pick up another D tackle later in the draft too. They're going to keep stacking because they know they're not going to be able to pay all them guys. Like, you know, I can guarantee you, out of them four, them starting 4, the last 2 that's going to get the big payday that could potentially be gone when their contract is up is going to be Payne and then Sweat, because Sweat is playing his way into a lot of money right now.
Oh yeah,
he's playing his way into a lot of money. They have the benefit because they did come back up into the first round to get him, so they're going to be able to have him for that extra year. But he's playing his way into a bag ton of cash.
Which I love that you said that, Pooh, because people were mad about that trade up. But when that ends up getting you an extra cheap year, I think people are going to be happy to have given up that 2nd round pick for it. Really,
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
because he was a 1st round talent. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
for sure.
He should have been the pick at 15.
That's right. You remember that's what they wanted.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So
it's interesting y'all said that too, because I said that recently. I said on Twitter that, hey, Washington should pick, or like I kind of gave up a couple names, like, hey, these are some day 3 guys Washington should look at. And I had a couple people telling me I was an idiot, basically, for saying they should pick up another lineman, like an interior or an edge rusher. And people were like, oh no, they shouldn't. That's foolish. I said, absolutely not. It's not foolish. Like, not like with this team. I mean, we just saw Matt go down. What happens if we have another 2018 season where you have John Allen go out and you have Deron Payne out? Now you're paying. And now, while I know Tim Suttle's a solid player, you know, he's a good talent, I think he's best in a rotational role. You're not going to have many 3-down linemen. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you need guys, you need bodies, you need skill. So, no, I'm 100%. I agree with Pooh big time, because they need to grab another lineman on day 3 for sure. I mean, that's without question.
This is where not having the $40 million quarterback comes in to play to help you,
that's right,
assist you in roster building. You know, and this could be a method that they're really taking. Is, you know, this is might be why they're not in a, you know, rush to you know, grab a guy, because the further they push it out and they're able to win, the more they can pay their guys.
That's right,
that they want to keep.
And Pooh, if they draft a quarterback this year, how will they get Aaron Rodgers next year or in 2 years?
I like that. I like that energy. Yeah. Let's keep speaking that into the universe. Yeah.
You know, I think Tampa Bay kind of showed, you was talking about it earlier, Doug, they kind of showed people a different way, right?
Yeah.
While they had a quarterback in Jameis on the roster, he was under, you know, he had his, I think he had an extension. But
he got his 5th year option picked up.
Okay, so he was still under his rookie deal. They were able to build out that roster. So even when they moved on from Jameis, they was able to bring in a Tom Brady. Why? Because the team was already built out. Like, all we're missing is add quarterback, and we're contending. And I think seeing that model allowed a team like Washington to say, hey, we may not have our guy, but we can bring in a Ryan Fitzpatrick for $10 million, keep building out this team. You know, we may surprise ourselves next year and win 10, you know, or something crazy, or we may fall around 8 or 9, but we're continuing to build out our team, and we're getting these guys on, you know, rookie deals, and because we know we have guys to pay. we still don't know what Sheriff is going to end up getting if he signs a long-term deal. I know it's going to be around 16. It's not going to be cheap. So,
and McLaurin's deal's coming up.
Yeah,
that's a big priority. That's
right. So
yeah.
So you have these, this model now to show you another way to do it, because everybody was used to doing it in reverse. You get your quarterback and then you build your team out.
That's right.
Tampa Bay is like, no, you can get your team, you can build your team and then get your quarterback, because these guys, as we're seeing, Matt Ryan in 2 years. Now, I don't know what he's going to be looking like, but he's going to be available.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers next year, he's going to be available more than likely. So you're going to have these quarterbacks popping up. And if you built your team out enough to where it's attractive to one of these free agent quarterbacks, it's like, hey, man, come on in here on a 2-year deal, man, and let's go win this championship. And
don't forget, they tried to get Stafford.
Yeah,
I mean, that kind of tells you where they think they're sitting too. I mean, they swung for quarterback.
They want a vet. I think they want a veteran over a rook. I think that's without a doubt. And like you mentioned, that's a great point, because Ron's really he said, hey, we did it this way in Carolina, but now we kind of have a chance to do it the other way. I think he really does want to do it like exactly what Pooh said, exactly like what the Buccaneers did. And if they did that, man, and let's say from a year from now, we're back here talking, and they have Aaron Rodgers. Oh my goodness, you talk about everything, that changes everything, literally. So, yeah, no, I mean, they like I was mentioning earlier, they're kind of in a win-win scenario. They can it'd be really hard for them to mess this up, and I don't think they will. Thank God.
No more Bruce, no more Vinny Serrato. I think we're okay now. I think we're okay. Well, look, Damien, man, we've been at this for almost an hour, man. We appreciate you coming on. This has been fun. I can do this all day, but just let the people know where they can find you, and again, what you have coming up next.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at DA Bartonek. That's at DABARTONEK. I cover the football team for Rigos Rag. I cover the Spurs for Air Alamo, and I write about Texas State sports for the University Star. Go ahead and check out my Washington football team podcast. It's called Dame's Dropback. The Twitter to that will be on my main account, DA Bartonek. And I got a lot of articles coming out. I've done a ton of draft coverage for Rigos Rag, a ton of mock drafts. I'm tweeting daily about the football team. You want to talk football? Let's talk. I'm passionate. I'm only passionate about sports, so just holler at me.
Indeed.
Yeah, Damien, appreciate you.
Hey, thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all.
All right, have a good one.
Hey, you too.